Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I am here with Casey Ebersole, and he is our Keller Williams 2022 Rookie of the Year for the Greater Pennsylvania region. And I thought, you know what better way to find out what the new and emerging rock stars in our region are doing other than having a conversation with Casey. So, Casey, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Looking forward to chatting.
So, just tell our audience, where are you phoning into Zoom from today?
Oh, I'm in Lancaster County here at the Lancaster branch with Kevin, who's the head broker here at the KW office. So we're just hanging out in the office here, just watching cars go by and just hanging out.
Cool. So you're Sir Lancaster County. Does your business center around Lancaster County, or do you expand outside of there?
Yeah, I would say the center of it is Lancaster and Lancaster County, but I do serve I've been averaging probably an hour to an hour and a half radius
Okay.
uh, of Lancaster. So, I'll go up to Harrisburg, I'll be in Berks County, I'll be in York County, just kind of all over. Been fortunate enough to have relationships where I can go outside of Lancaster and just serve people where I can.
Cool. Awesome. So people know how to get a hold of you and how to send referrals your way.
Yep.
So get us started. You're the rookie of the year, so that comes with the fact that you haven't really been in real estate that long. So give us a little bit of background. How long you've been going at it now, and how'd you get started?
Yeah, so I guess I would have got my license in August of 21. Yeah, so 22 would have been my first full year of real estate. Yeah, growing up after college, I went into the construction industry, as a engineer, project manager. I worked for a local contractor here in Lancaster County. Ended up going down to Charlotte then for a couple years, worked for a big time general contractor down there as an assistant project manager, and then came back to Lancaster County here and actually worked for my dad's company as a project manager as well. And so I've always been around construction. I've always invested in real estate, always loved seeing what developers would do, what the housing market was doing, because I always feel like it's a good heartbeat of what the economy is. Um, so, just through some events, things that happened, I decided to get my license and just go after it. It's something that I've always enjoyed doing, something always I've always liked. And so yeah, we're just going for it and having a lot of fun.
That's awesome. So you said that you were investing in real estate before you actually got your real estate license. What type of real estate do you like to invest in?
Um, Anything that cash flows.
Good answer.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I started off with some small multifamily, just duplexes. Is actually, I guess my first investment was before I got married. I bought a semi-detached house for myself,
Okay.
and it's a term called house hacking. So I accidentally house hacked, and so I bought the house not knowing I was going to meet my now wife 4 months after I bought it. And we were thinking, well, do we want to be in Mount George or do we want to move down to Lancaster City? And Lancaster City 5 years ago was an up and coming place, and we're like, hey, look, we think it's gonna go crazy. I knew some developers that were developing in there, and I said, hey, let's do it. So she just happened to be living with a bunch of her friends right across from LGH because she was a nurse there, and
Okay.
she said, hey, I can talk to the owner and we can probably buy this. And so I didn't have my license at the time, so I just negotiated off market and ended up buying it. And so we got married, rented out my house that I did buy, and moved into the city. And so we flipped it while living in there. We didn't have a kitchen for 6 months of our marriage. So we were literally just renovating it as we went. And we were there for, a couple years and ended up selling, gosh, that's 2.5 years, I think, already now.
Wow.
And sold that. And then actually my renters left. And so we moved back to that house there. So we were able to sell and then move in for free.
Nice.
So that's kind of my first real estate transaction, and I've helped other people house hack and do similar things, and it's a great way to gain equity in real estate and start an investing portfolio.
Awesome. So you almost kind of got into real estate by accident, it sounds like, or investing by accident.
Yeah, it was a blessing for sure. I wasn't really trying to do anything, but I self-taught myself a ton on YouTube, just understanding how to do it, seeing all these investors just doing it. And I said, hey, it's cool. I'd love to do it someday. Don't know if I will. And yeah, just kind of accidentally fell into the whole investing side.
That's funny. Um, so you had said that there were some things that happened that, you decided to move away from being in construction and getting to your real estate license. So why real estate? Like, is it because you had already kind of got a little bit of the real estate bug with negotiating this first deal? What was the thought process behind, I want to get my real estate license?
Yeah, negotiating is probably one of my favorite parts.
Okay.
It's just how good of a deal can I get? And that has kind of fast forward to how I work with my clients. Especially with my buyer clients, it's like I'm the realtor that just nags. I shouldn't say nag isn't a good word, but I'm the one asking the listing agent, hey, like, how's our offer? How are we looking? Or is there anything we can do to improve? And I'm always the one, just selling my clients to them. And so, yeah, it's just something that's just in me with wanting to get into real estate and kind of getting into the whole negotiating part. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question or not.
I mean, it seemed like it was something that you were interested in, and it just seemed like it was, from what you were sharing with me earlier, it just seemed like it was like a way for you to be able to be a little bit more entrepreneurial and decide where you wanted to put your efforts.
Yeah, I've I'm learning I'm learning about myself a ton as I get older, and it's just fun to kind of be that entrepreneur where you don't really have a ceiling over you, and you can just figure out all the ideas and you can go for it. And it's just been a lot of fun to experiment, create amazing relationships, and just serve people, which is ultimately what I love doing.
That's awesome. So you've been in the game now for probably about 18 months, because you started August. We're recording this, it's the end of April of 2023. When you think back over your first full year in real estate, was it what you expected it to be? What was surprising? What did you learn? What are some of the things that, like, you walked away from that year, either knowing about yourself or the industry, that surprised you the most?
Yeah, it's so one of the first things I did was after I got my license, just YouTube. What do you have to do to become a successful realtor? And there's a million things on YouTube of what to do and low expectations. Like, I think the average making of a realtor year one is less than 50,000. And I was just like, all right, well, I'm just going to set my expectations low. And, I was just, a lot of people can be so focused on, commissions and making money and things like that. And just there's been some really cool people that have come into my life, and they said, instead of worrying about how to make money, figure out how to bring value into the marketplace. Because when you bring value to the marketplace, it's just going to be a direct replication of your earnings. And so it's just something that I've learned of, what value can I bring to the marketplace that's valuable for people. And that's really what I've just focused on.
Awesome.
And just learning what people need, and just really exploiting that in a good way.
I love that. When you think about, like, how do you approach it then? So you've learned that you have to bring value to the table. That is going to be a way that you get introduced to more people, because you're providing value to someone. They want you to help someone else get value, all of those types of things. So how do you approach it every day? Is there a set way that you go about your day? Is there any kind of hacks that you figured out from all your YouTube videos that you've watched that you could share with people who might be watching this? Or like, what does it look like for you every day to like be
Yeah.
a student?
I have a wife that's very flexible because she understands that it takes a lot of work to get into real estate and do well at it. So I first have to thank her for just supporting me and supporting our family back at home. But yeah, I mean, on a daily basis, it's a lot of calls, it's a lot of on the phone, and just kind of meeting people where they're at.
Okay.
There's a lot of sales tactics you can do, and I wouldn't really consider myself a salesperson. I just really consider myself a people person. I love people's stories, helping them understand finances, helping them understand money, helping them understand value of a home. Because my investor cap is always one. And, if I think it's not a good deal, I'm not going to do the deal just to make a deal happen. I think, hey, look, if we're going to buy this, sure, we're going to go over asking, but here's your add value. So if you do X, Y, and Z, you're going to create that value so that way, when you do sell it, you're going to be over what you bought it for. So, it's something that I always enjoy doing. And so it's just something I'm always on the lookout for, when it comes to that.
So you're giving a lot of value. It sounds like you're meeting people where they're at and providing this one-to-one experience with them. And that takes a lot of extra effort than having like a blanket system that you're, implementing across the board. So you talked about you have a very patient wife. So how are you maintaining work-life balance right now with starting a new business, right? I know you said that you have a little one at home, you've got, all these different things. How are you juggling all of this right now?
It's a work in progress. We are working together, but we're working onto something.
Yeah.
So we're creating something. Obviously, when you create something, there's a lot of work that has to be done ahead of time and at the very beginning. But we're starting to create some momentum. We're working on creating a team here, so that way I can bring value to my realtors, who in turn is going to bring value to our clients that we're going to be working with. So how I create that balance. There are times that I do have to set up boundaries with clients, where it's like, hey, look, I want to help you, but I do have a life outside of real estate. I do have a family. So sometimes it's just having an upfront conversation with my clients, so that way there's clarity of like, hey, just because I'm not responding doesn't mean I'm not working for you. It's just I need a balance to be recharged so that way I can serve you even better. Because
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that will just get burnt out. They just work so hard for years, 2 years, 3 years, and eventually their service just goes downhill because they don't have a way to get recharged.
Yeah.
And that's what boundaries can do. So I do have to set up boundaries with people as long as there's a common understanding and they're okay with those boundaries, then it's a great working relationship.
That's great. This wasn't on the list of questions that you and I talked about, but it spawned a follow-up question is, are there different things that you are paying attention to in terms of your own personal health and well-being? And do you have like a system that you follow, or is there like what does like taking care of yourself look like?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a very routine person. I'm always one of those people, if I can do 4, 5, 6 successful things in the morning right away, it starts my day off on the right foot. So I'm a professed Christian. I think Jesus is my Lord and Savior. So I'm up in the morning in the Word for a little bit, praying, and then I'll hit the gym for an hour. I try to go 3 times a week. I've been staying consistent with it. So that's always a plus. So that recharges me in the morning to get going. I've been back and forth so many times with the gym and working out, but when I'm consistent with the gym, I'm energized, I'm ready to go. I just think if people always say there's not enough days or not enough hours in the day, and just the most successful people I've seen, they're up at 4 or 5 in the morning and they're getting 3 to 4 extra hours a day than anybody else.
Yep.
So I've kind of kept that mindset of, hey, if I can get up a little bit early and stay healthy with it, I try to eat as healthy as I can to stay energized because, mental health is such a thing that you need creating a business because you need to get recharged and recharged with the right things. So it takes time, it takes intentionality, and it takes discipline.
Yeah.
And I'm not perfect. It's always a work in progress. But I think we're getting off to the right foot.
Yeah. I think that there's so much research that shows like that to be true, right? And I think that for entrepreneurs, for all of us, it's really easy to fall into the to-do list the first thing you wake up in the morning. Like it's so easy to just grab the phone and look at the text messages and look at but then when you realize like that stuff's going to be there no matter what time of day you look at it. And if you don't take care of yourself, then by the time you are like when you're going through those things, you're just so exhausted mentally, physically, spiritually, right? Your relationships are depleted, all of those things happen, and then you can't serve anyone because you haven't served yourself and your family and your friends first.
Yeah, it's always a tricky balance because I want to serve, my family as much as I can, and that's priority, hands down. And it's always kind of a checks and balances that you have to do because as a realtor, you have to be on call. Like you just have to, especially in this market right now. I mean, you could lose a deal for your clients within an hour or two. It's not like 10 years ago where you have days to make a decision. It's like, no, we need to make a decision
Now,
30 minutes or less, or we're going to lose out. So it is a checks and balance of serving people, but getting recharged the right way. And yeah, it's an ongoing process. There's going to be times where I'm not going to be charged as much. And sometimes my service may slip every now and then, but we're all human.
that's it. I think as long as we're setting the expectations with our clients and
Mhm.
they understand where we're at, and if you're in one of those situations where it's like, hey, like within the next 24 hours, this is where we could be, and then your family knows, and there's a little bit of flexibility there. It's just when it starts to not be intentional, I think is where it becomes problematic. And so intentional chaos is okay, is from what I've learned in all the years and 15 years of being in this industry. Like sometimes it's intentional chaos, but because we're being intentional, it allows us to still be able to show up for our families the way that they want, even if, even if they know dinner might get disrupted tonight, but this is on purpose so that tomorrow it doesn't have to be, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, I always try to set my schedule up as most efficient as I can. And so, if I have, because there are some clients that are relocating from different states and, they have jobs where they get off at 5, but they want to go look at 3 or 4 houses. And so there's times where, I'll have showings till 10:30 at night and it's all evening and, I would love to be with my family. But if I can be intentional with that and just say, to my wife, hey, I'm going to have showings all evening, so I'm going to be at home for the morning and
Yeah.
early afternoon. And so when I'm able to schedule things out intentionally, it may be chaotic, but as long as we're intentional with that chaos, you can still find a balance to make everything work.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's really cool that you learned that so early on in your career and that's, something that you're embracing. And I think it probably helped you so much with like maintaining work-life balance and preserving your health and, having the success that you did in your first year. I mean, our region's over 11,000 agents, right? So the fact that you came in as the rookie and were able to like hit the ground running and had the highest production of all the other rookie agents, I think that just says something. And there's something to the life habits that you've already kind of come into this with that helps set you up to have the successful year that you had. And so,
Yeah, you definitely have to set a good foundation for what you're going to do. If you don't have a strong foundation under you, it's gonna, and I mean, that's just anything in life. If you don't have a foundation that you can keep running on, I mean, it's going to be a long road.
you also tapped into it as well when you were talking about how you and your wife have talked about that you're making an investment right now into your future. And I think that having those conversations with our spouses and making sure that our partners know where we're at, what we're trying to do, and they're along that journey, I think that allows them to support us as well. Because people who want to build big businesses in this industry, you have to do it with your partner being on that same page with you, or it's going to be really, really difficult.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. I mean, at the end of the day, communication and clarity is everything. And if you're on page with whoever, whatever actions you take, it doesn't really matter because you're in agreement.
100%.
All that matters.
100%. Um, so we're sitting here next year. You come back as like one of the top teams, and I'm like, hey, I want to interview you again. Like, what did you do this year? Where do you see yourself? And I know you talked to me a little bit earlier about growing a team and that type of stuff. So what's the vision for your life for the next year? What do you think you'll be accomplishing?
It's a big question. I have lots of goals as anybody I hope would have. But yeah, I mean, one is creating a real estate team for sure. I'm an extrovert at heart. I typically will gain energy being around people. So creating a team and creating an atmosphere that I love is probably going to be priority this year. So, we have some stuff in the works of getting that started and here off the ground. So I'm super excited for that. And just, you know, being intentional about pouring into people, just like people have poured into me. I'm all about, if you're going to go places, you're going to have one person take you, but you should take three people with you for the ride. That way it's just a continual funnel that I believe we're called to be. So I'm interested in finding agents that are the right fit, not just to create a big team, but create people that, are going to be with me and are going to want to go for the ride and see where we can take this. So that's definitely one goal. I'm also an investor. So, that's going to be another goal, I think, later down the road. There's all sorts of tax benefits that I love sharing with people with investments. I always have to be a little tax savvy with what I do. So, that's another goal, is to continue to invest and continue the portfolio that I've created with some partners. So yeah, there's a lot of goals. With interest rates where they are, again, the investor cap, I think it's a great time to buy real estate.
Yep.
A lot of fear in the market. And when I think there's fear, that's where a lot of people, make money because they go against the current. And so, history tells us whenever you go against the current, those are the people that end up on top. So that's always my mindset, even though every day I question it sometimes. I know it's the right thing to do, even though there's resistance. So yeah, hoping for a big year and see what happens.
I love it. One of my favorite sayings I've ever heard with Keller Williams, it's time on task over time. And when I started my investment journey, it was one of those things where I'm like, okay, I think we're doing the right thing. I think we're doing the right thing. And then it was a couple of years into it, we're like, we're definitely doing the right thing. It starts to pay off and you start to see those dividends and you start to experience the life that you've always dreamed about. And then you finally start to see come to fruition, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things. And again, I've obviously only been a realtor for, a year and a half, like we said. But the people that I've helped to what I call house hacking, I've helped a couple of people do it now, and I can see their wheels churning in their head a little bit about, oh, this is how it works.
Yeah.
It's probably one of my favorite things, because they start getting the real estate bug. They want to invest, and I want to get my license, and I want to do this. And so when you find people when you can help people see the big vision in life, when it comes to real estate, it's so much fun.
Yeah, some of my favorite experiences with being part of like this community and being able to do the things that we do, like videos like this, is when somebody will come up to me, I'm teaching a class or I'm in a market center making a visit, and they'll come up and say, I just bought my first investment property, or I just got my second one. And it's one of the biggest joys that I get out of this role, and meeting people like you and meeting people, who are in this game. When you see them starting to implement the things we're talking about, it's so rewarding. Like that's like I don't do it for like that, but it's so rewarding to me to see people like grow and thrive and like live bigger lives and all of those things. And
Yeah, yeah, it's just I've been fortunate enough to surround myself with some pretty amazing people. And one of the biggest things I've always heard is, success takes massive action. Or I think the actual saying is massive action creates massive results.
Yeah.
So in turn, if you want massive results, you have to take massive action.
That's exactly right. I don't think we could say it any better, and I think it's a great way for us to wrap up today. So
Yep.
thanks so much for your time. And how does everybody get a hold of you? Like if they have referrals for you or if they want to help support your business, how can they contact you?
Yeah, so I'm sure my number will be on the screen somewhere, but I have a Facebook page, I have a whole media page coming up. So for starters, you can get my email, my number from KW platforms, and my Facebook, Casey Ebersole. We're going to start a team here called Casey and Co. Top Notch Realty. So that's going to be up and coming. So yeah, multiple ways to get a hold of me for referrals or anybody here in the area that wants to work with me with investing or finding their next house. Love to help anybody.
Awesome. Well, Casey, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure getting to know you better. And I can't wait to see what the next year ahead brings for you and your family and your business and all of those amazing things that are ahead.
Yep, no, I appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
Thanks.
Yep.